is multiple action, dependable action, values are configured using output parameter. I save the same script that we have created before. I save it as multiple action or dependable action or output value output parameter using output parameter. This is the script. I have created, assume that I have created 3 scripts, create order script. In this, the existing I remove, this is the change. So create order I have created, update order is available. This is my update order. In this update order, now I don't want to use data table. This is the original script, this is how it was. And I'm moving to delete order. I'm changing it back to the original script as a record. So if you have recorded, you might have got this the way the script might have got generated. Now I want to use output parameter. To use output parameter, first we run the script, it will fail, we all know. Now to solve this, I like to use, instead of data table, I like to use output parameter. Yeah, output parameter means first I need to know what is action that will generate a value. We know now this create order is the action which generates the order number. This order number, after it generated, I like to store this order number into an output parameter, not to the data table parameter. If I like to do that, I can again do it in multiple ways. First is I create an output parameter. Create order is the action which generates the order number. Right click on create order. I go to action properties. In this action properties, I can create the parameters using parameter tab. I've selected the parameter tab. This time it is not an input parameter. I want it to be an output parameter. So AC underscore O underscore order number is the field name. This order number I cannot assign any value because it is an output parameter. The value has to be assigned by the script. So AC underscore O underscore O number. You can also give your action name if you like to give. I say OK. This parameter need to be assigned with the value. Again, I can assign to this parameter values using step generator, using active screen. Now this time I like to go with insert output value. This is the method I like to use. Insert output value is the method I like to use. To do this, first is I need to choose the line where I like to insert. Keep your object invisible so that you can access the object from the application. Once these two are ready, go to insert. First is record, because without record, insert output value from application is not possible. So use record, click on insert, then use standard output value. Once you click on standard output value, system will use a hand symbol. You can see a hand symbol. Place the hand symbol onto the object from which you want to retrieve the property. I place my hand symbol onto the object order number. Please note, you should not place the hand on the static test that you see here. It has to be placed onto the edit box, because edit box is the one which generates the order number. I select that object. Now you can see a object selection window. You can see the selected object. I click on OK. You should know the property which retrieves the order number. I know it is a text property. By default, you can see the action parameter is displayed. If you click on modify, you can see now three parameters are available: data table, user defined environment parameter, test action parameter. And now I choose the test action parameter. I choose the parameter name that I want to use, AC underscore O underscore O number. I say OK. I say finish. Now you will see it in this. I stop my recording. You will see it in the script. Object is winEdit order number. Output is the method. Checkpoint. If I right click on the checkpoint, you can see output value properties, and this output value properties will have the property that you have selected, and you can see the property in the type. It has been configured back to the action. The red color box that you see is nothing but the action box, and that action is now having parameter AC underscore O number parameter name assigned with the value. Do we get the value now? As we have seen in the previous session, after the insert order, application needs some time to process the order number, whereas at that time order number will not have value. Order number object will not have the value. So I am using again a simple wait to ensure QTP waits until the insert order process the order number. Synchronization wait and simple wait, the difference is synchronization wait will synchronize with the behavior of the application and wait only for that time that it is required. Here it is a definite wait. So I waited, I retrieved the output, I stored that output onto the create order. Now I need to use that parameter value inside another action. Very important point. I need to use the parameter that I have created, which is stored the value with the order, create order. I like to use that value inside this update order. I go to update order. Excuse me. In this update order, you can see winEdit. This winEdit, I want to use the value of the previous action output parameter value. If I go to keyword view, because I know that is the way I can retrieve the value, I have selected the object edit. I want to change the value. Click on configure value, parameter. Now you can see that it is not displaying or allowing me to take the value of the previous action. It is not available. You can see only data table, environment, random number. So I cannot directly in the script, I cannot take the previous action value to the another action. That is not allowed. So if I have to do it, I click on update order. First is I need to create an input parameter. I click on insert update order, right click. I create an input parameter for this update order. I select action properties. I choose action properties. I go to parameter tab. In this parameter tab, Since the value of this parameter is an input parameter, I need to create an input parameter against update order. I create a underscore I underscore update order is my script, order number is my field. What is the default value? I don't know the value, so I leave it blank. For this parameter, I need to assign the value. Generally, what is mistake that we do is, after creating the update order, we again come to the script, we try to assign the value of the action parameter, assign that parameter here. Now this parameter a underscore I underscore uo underscore o number doesn't have the value because we have not configured the value for that parameter. Usually we do this and we expect the script to work in the way we expect it to work. Now script will try to enter parameter configuration is right, but the value to this parameter is null because we have not assigned the value. If I have to assign the value, as I said in the action parameter session, select the action, go to action call properties because I like to modify the value of the parameter, runtime value. Go to action call properties. Under this action call properties, choose the parameter values. Now you can see the parameter that we have created. Click on value. Use configure value. Using configure value, now you can see system allows me to configure a test or action parameter output from previous action call. Now you can see that I am able to configure from the previous action call wherever I have declared output parameter, those parameters are listed here. And that parameter I am configuring it now. I click on OK. I say OK. Now it is done. You can see now the output parameter is configured as an input parameter in another action. And now that action parameter using our keyword, that is value column, parameterized column, I have configured that input parameter to the script. So script cannot take the previous action parameter directly. I am doing it for delete order. If I go to delete order in the keyword view, I have not created a parameter. I know this 127 needs to be changed. I have selected 127. I have clicked on configure value. If I select a parameter, you can see that there is no test or action parameter appears here because we have not created any input parameter for the delete order. So first is I need to create an input parameter from the delete order. Right click, action properties. That is why we say action parameters are local by itself. Action properties, parameters. I select add parameter because it is an input parameter. A underscore input underscore delete order underscore o number. This is my parameter name. Value is a dynamic, and since it is dynamic, I don't have a default value. Next, I assign the value to the delete order parameter using runtime option, that is action call properties. I am selecting now action call properties. I choose parameter values. I select configure value from that parameter, and here I am able to configure using test or action parameter output from previous action call. Create order is default, that is the only action which has output parameter, that is why he has default selected, and this is the parameter name. I click on OK. I selected the value. Even if I run the script now, it doesn't work because delete order, I have created a parameter, I have assigned the value to the parameter, but I have not configured the parameter in my script. So delete order, you can see still it is pointing to 127 hard-coded value. Now I like to configure this value using keyword view. Select the object, select the value, click on configure value, choose the parameter. Now you can see since we have created an input parameter, you can see the fourth option test or action parameter listed, and that parent action parameter, I select the parameter that I like to configure. I say OK. Now it is configured. It is done. Now I can run the script. Recap of what we have seen after this run. It is executing now. The create order creates the screen, creates the order. As soon as he created, now I am into the sheet. As soon as he created, waiting for 10 seconds for the application to retrieve the order, and yes, retrieve the order. Now I am in the current action sheet, that is why you are not able to see it. So he retrieved and stored the value, use that value in our next action. Update, again it is going to delete the order. So he is now deleting the same order that we have created. He is deleting the order. So the script is done. I want to see the result. Automation, result window, the previous run result will appear here. In this, if I select the output value parameters, you can now see that inside, if I go inside, create order, you can see inside this, the ACO number is assigned with the value 134, and in update order, it is acting as an input parameter, and that input parameter is assigned with the value 134, and delete order, again it is an input parameter, and that input parameter is assigned with the value 134. So we are able to use output parameter of one action as an input parameter in another action. Just a recap of what we have seen. We have a dependable action. One action value needs to be used in another action. I have multiple actions. Right now we are seeing all the actions on the same script. How to do it if it is in multiple script, we'll come to that in the reusable action. That is the next topic that we are going to cover. Here, the create order is an independent script, update order is an independent action, delete order is an independent action. Create order generates the order number. That order number, I like to store it as an output parameter. I can store it as a data table parameter. I can store it on the environment user defined parameter. I can store it into the output parameter. First, creation of output parameter. Selected the action for which output parameter to be created. Right click, action properties. Under action properties, there is a parameter tab. Under parameter tab, I have created an output parameter. Since it is an output parameter, I don't know the value of the parameter. To get the value of the parameter, I am using output value. Output value can be used in multiple ways. One, I can use an active screen. In active screen, select the object that you want to take the value out, insert output value, choose the object, ensure that it is correct using object selection window. In under object selection window, you can see now WinEdit is the object, and that WinEdit order number is the name of the object. That's a logical name. I select OK. As I move into the output value properties, you can choose the properties that you want to select, which retrieves the value, and modify. This modify will allow you to store the value to any of the three locations: test parameters or test or action, data table, environment parameter. Once that is done, next I store the value inside the script. That is already done. Now to get the output value, I need to ensure application doesn't have any synchronization issue. If it has, I am applying the synchronization point. In this case, we are going with the simple wait. Once that is done, output parameter retrieves the value, stores the value in the create order action. Now create order action value, I like to use it in the subsequent actions. To use it in the subsequent actions, since action parameters are local by itself, output parameter of the previous action is not available as a input parameter to the next action. So what I did is I created an input parameter in subsequent actions. I went to the selected the action, right click on the action, selected the parameter tab. In that parameter tab, I have created a input parameter, and again the value of the parameter is not known. I have left it blank. Default value is not there. I want now to configure the value. I selected the action again, right click, action call properties. Under action call properties, I have configured the value I want to assign to that parameter using configure value button. In this configure value button, by default you can see now test action parameter is available because we have created an output parameter, and output from previous call is enabled, and selected the action, selected the parameter, I assigned the value of the parameter. I did this, finished. Once that is done, the next job is you have to configure that parameter to the script. Update order, selected the update order. In that you can see the syntax parameter a underscore I underscore uo underscore o number is configured to the script back. This is the way the output parameter needs to be configured. Very important concept. Make sure you are practiced and comfortable. The flow is important, how to choose the value, how it is dependent, conceptually you have to clear. With this, we have completed dependable actions, storing the value into the output parameter. If you have any questions,